Apparently, The Rock's just as whiny and fragile as the rest of the DC fanbase. Merely days after it was reported that Black Adam could lose up to $100 million, both the site Deadline and The Rock himself claim, oh, it's doing just fine at the box office. And in particular, this is the tweet that he came out with. Waited to confirm with financiers before I share this excellent Black Adam news. Our film will profit between $52 and $72 million. Fact. At almost $400 million worldwide, we are building our new franchise step by step. First, Captain America did $370 million for the DC future. Now, I am reading this off of a site called Gizmodo. And the article titled, The Rock's Black Adam Box Office Damage Control is Embarrassing, because it is, and here's exactly why. I'm not going to read this word for word, but I am going to read this portion of it. He then linked to the aforementioned Deadline article, which cites film finance sources, meaning people who do this for a living and those close to the film, a very peculiar way of framing those sources. After going through the math to explain the modest profit the film would turn, the article additionally cites merchandise as a form of back-channel profit in an attempt to shore up Black Adam's potential to make money instead of lose it, which is true, but doesn't affect the dire box office numbers one bit, and isn't really something worth counting in the conversation at all, one that also conveniently doesn't factor things like theaters' cuts of ticket sales and so on. And then it talks about the comparison he made between Black Adam and Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, not only are these films released 10 years apart, and Captain America had a lower budget, all the way down to $140 million, where Black Adam was reported $200 million, plus another $80 to $100 million in marketing costs, which will come into play in a second. And adjusting for, even though it made $370 million globally, adjusting for inflation, the movie made around $490 million. Plus, the highest grossing Marvel film of 2011 was Thor with $450 million, which would be roughly $600 million today. And you cannot seriously tell me that Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth, when they started their Marvel debuts, were on the same level of star power as Dwayne Johnson is today. And yeah. So, what he's essentially trying to say is because it made more money than one of Marvel's first movies, which again came out 10 years ago, so it's not adjusting for inflation, that this means it automatically makes a profit. And not only was Captain America, liked and received good reviews, that was also the fifth movie in the MCU and featured featured a cast of relatively unknowns at the time. Chris Evans, he was known for Fantastic Four, and that's about it. So, again, he was not on the same level that Dwayne Johnson is today, especially when this is the 11th DC Universe film, not including Zack Snyder's garbage heap of a film. The lackluster performance really shines through. Now, this goes into a lot of different things, and again, boasting about your movie making $50 million when this is supposed to be a big superhero temple that's supposed to supposed to be the groundwork for a new franchise, it's not something to brag about, and it seems less of and as Gizmodo puts it, seems like less of a flex and more like damage control. And that's exactly what this is. This is 100% damage control. And again, the numbers back it up. Now, the most basic way to put it is that to even be considered a modest profit, or to even break even, your movie would have to make roughly 2.5 million or 2.5 times your budget worldwide. And this movie had a budget of roughly $200 million. And it hasn't even crossed 400 yet. 2.5 and 200 million times 2.5 is obviously 500 million. So this hasn't even crossed 400 million, and probably won't, because it is barely in the top 10 anymore. And again, this movie cost $200 million, plus another $80 to $100 million in marketing. So that's roughly $280 to $300 million to make and promote this film, and the movie's still stuck at $166 million domestically. And you're going to tell me that this is a profit? Again, in every other site, the only one that's showing, it's actually going to make a profit is this one Deadline article and The Rock himself. Every other site and every other source is showing how this movie is look at this. Black Adam officially a box office flop. Box office bust. Black Adam faces theatrical losses. Black Adam is losing money at the box office. Every other site is not trying to do damage control for this film. Yeah, great, the movie's made over $384 million. Big fucking whoop. And again, it's barely in the top 10 for this year, and it will be out of the top 10 as soon as Avatar comes out. So again, so apparently that this big movie star isn't enough. Just because you have The Rock in your movie doesn't mean your movie's going to make money if it's a movie nobody gives a crap about. And again, it's just, yeah, Black Adam projected to fizzle out with $50 to $100 million loss. So you can tell he only looked at one source, and it was the only source that was trying to tell people that it's going to make a profit. This is, like this article says, this damage control is just straight up embarrassing. I don't understand, I guess, and thankfully he's getting called out for it. Of course not by the DC fans, because they need to back him up. They need to do just as much damage control as he does. But by actual journalists and people who do this stuff, they're calling him out on his crap, and thank God. I don't see a sequel to this movie getting made. Yeah, yesterday or today. Or no, this would be yesterday's numbers, 330,000 on Friday, and it's at number 6 at the box office. And this is after moving up a few spots from the day before, and that's only because it tied with one. So, yeah, this is pretty pathetic. Like, again, I'm used to DC films flopping, and I'm used to people having this meltdown. And The Rock already had a meltdown about critics hating the movie. It's like, oh, who cares about the critics? It's what the audiences love. It's only cares about the audience. Who cares about the critics? Yet he would have kept his mouth shut if critics liked the movie. So, yeah, that's all I got for this. This is just straight up embarrassing. And and stuff like this really has tainted my view of The Rock. I used to see him as, he seemed like a likable guy, but no, he's completely fallen off the wagon. He has a meltdown on Twitter when critics don't like the film, and now he's having a meltdown because the movie's bombing at the box office and trying to do everything in his power to convince people it was a hit when it wasn't. So, yeah, that's all I got for this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.